Tom, it is time for our rumors roundup, and we're doing something a little funny. I don't know if the people noticed when we were doing our one to start the show. We are not using Dallas Cowboy stars. We are not using Jim Harbaugh heads like we use in the Michigan show. No, we are using Downy Heads. So let's explain what we're going on before we get into our rumors.
All right,
Tom,
so zero Downy Heads means what we're talking about is fake news. It's totally inaccurate. Do not pay any attention to it. One Downy Head means there is a small shred of truth. You know, every lie is based on a kernel of truth. There's some truth to this, but it's not really accurate. Two Downy Heads means the people are talking. It's very firmly in the rumor category, has not been verified yet. Three means it's pretty likely, like this is going to end up happening, but we're not quite there to the full-on, it's a done deal quite yet. And four Downy Heads, you know that's right, it's a fact.
All right, it's a fact. We'll go with that one. And Tom, let's start with our first rumor. Matt Patricia as the Giants head coach. Tom, I don't know, do I have to run to New York and scream at the Giants to sign Josh McDaniels? But they're not. Apparently, they want Matt Patricia.
There's two different kind of ways, I think, to kind of go about approaching this. So there are a couple of different reports out there. The first one is from Michael Lombardi and Peter King that basically say he's got the Lions job if he wants it. Like, Detroit wants to hire him. If he accepts, it'll be a done deal. But he's waiting on the Giants to see what New York does because he would like to get the Giants job.
The Detroit Lions are about to get cucked by the New York Giants. The Detroit Lions are going to get cucked by the Giants. You cannot be an NFL franchise and wait to hire a coach until another team wants to hire him.
But the reason we're only going with two Harbaugh heads is because the New York Daily News reported that all signs point to Patricia being the hire, and then in the article, they didn't list what any of the signs were. They just said it's going to happen. They didn't cite any source. They just said it's going to be two Harbaugh heads. Two Downy heads, excuse me there. So, like, I don't really get it. Like, so I thought it was very strange of the New York Daily News. So we're giving it two Downy heads here because my expectation is that Patricia would like the Giants job.
Yes.
But the Giants have not made their decision yet.
No.
So he is going to wait. Once the Giants make their decision, Patricia will then take the Lions job if he doesn't get this one.
Let's stay on
two Downy heads. People are talking.
Let's stay on the Giants job because I think this is the number one coaching gig open right now in the NFL. We have Nick Saban apparently covets the Giants job. So Tom, here are the people that have been connected to the Giants job so far. Right? You got Josh McDaniels, Matt Patricia. All right, cool. You know, you got Steve Wilkes as well, the Panthers defensive coordinator. Mike Shula got fired. Oh, you also have Bill Belichick. And also Nick Saban. I'm surprised they weren't thrown in with the groomers as well. Maybe Vince Lombardi's going to come back from the dead and be the Giants head coach. I give up. Who's going to be the Giants head coach?
All right,
I give up.
So we're giving this one Downy head.
Saban.
Here's the rumor itself. Bruce Arians, the former Cardinals coach, said that he thinks Nick Saban covets the Giants job. Arians said it would not surprise me, and there's a job he covets that happens to be open, and he says it's because they're the New York Giants. That's what's going on right there. So, look, I do not buy this because, and Arians kind of mentions this too when he was talking about it, he has a dynasty right now at Alabama. So it's one Downy head right now because why would he leave? He has a fantastic job right now, and he has a bunch of true freshmen playing. I will be stunned if Saban leaves to go to the New York Football Giants.
You have it one Downy head. Can I just straight up call this fake news?
No, because it came from a head coach, former NFL coach. That's why it's not.
Fine.
If this came from the New York Daily News, maybe we would give it fake news. We're giving it one Harbaugh.
By the way,
Downy head.
Please, people at home, should Nick Saban return to the NFL? Get your comments in. We want to know if you guys think Nick Saban should return to the NFL. Tom, before we move on from this, no, he should not.
Absolutely not.
Nick Saban should not return to the NFL. Stay at Alabama. Stay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Let's move into our next rumor here. Norv Turner already hired by the Panthers as an offensive coordinator?
You see the lack of Downy heads there?
Where are my Downy heads?
Folks, this is fake news all the way through. So here's what happened, all right? Yahoo Sports, they did the aggregate article of a Sporting News article.
Oh, not Sporting.
That said, the Panthers have hired Norv Turner. But when you go to the actual Sporting News website, the article does not exist. What does exist is a very similar article that looks that's written exactly the same, except that the second paragraph says he is interviewing for the Panthers job. So here's what happened. Yahoo Sports went a little bit early up front there, and they published an outdated article, and they've never changed it. Yahoo Sports continues to push out fake news right now. Unbelievable what they're doing. They just haven't made the change, and I don't get why. It's baffling.
So who do you think the Panthers will end up at offensive coordinator, if not Norv Turner?
Oh, I think that they're going to hire Norv Turner, but they haven't done it yet. They have not officially hired Norv Turner quite yet. They have not made that news yet.
It is about as real as Norv Turner being a real person. It is Norv Turner. There we go. Let's go into another thing that we probably could classify under fake news. Steve Sarkisian of the Seahawks as their offensive coordinator. Tom, they fired their offensive coordinator this morning. They also fired Tom Cable and Chris Richard, their offensive line coach and DB's coach.
The Richard one was weird because there was a report that he got fired. One said he kind of was asked to not come back.
Yeah,
or
so
he was allowed to leave.
Weird things. And now apparently the Seahawks want Steve Sarkisian. What?
So
this makes no sense to me.
Lockenforno, once again of CBS, are giving this just one Downey head because I think there is a small semblance of truth. Namely, Pete Carroll and Sarkisian know each other. They've coached together under USC, but right around the time before and after Lockenforno tweeted that and wrote the article on it, Dan Quinn, the Falcons head coach, comes out and says, this is not happening. There's zero chance of this happening.
By the way,
so one Downey head because I understand the connection, but I will be stunned if it does happen.
And
Jason.
I'll just say this. Jason Lockenfora, at least in my book, you get 0 Downy Heads. Jason Lockenfora is fake news in my book. Thank you very much. One more thing before we move on from Steve Sarkisian. Tom, I don't know if we can really use the scale. How many Downy Heads do you give him in his job performance this year? For,
-2.
-2 Downy Heads. What is that?
-2 Downy Heads.
-2 Downy Heads stand for?
You hurt your team. That's what that means.
You'd be playing.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our next one. Rich Gannon was widely considered to be the #1 target for the Raiders quarterbacks coach. Obviously, was the QB with John Gruden when he was with the Raiders originally. Tom, you have this at 4 Downy Heads. You know that's right. He will not be the Raiders quarterbacks coach.
So what happened was everyone and their brother kind of thought that Gannon was going to go be the Raiders quarterbacks coach. I think Gruden thought that. Gannon himself thought that. Like, it was pretty much a done deal. Like, Gruden was like, yeah, you can come be my quarterback's coach. Gannon accepted it kind of years ago. That Gruden would often talk about, like, hey, if I ever go coach again, you want me my quarterback's coach? He said, sure. So Gannon on Tuesday was flying out to the Gruden press conference. On the flight, he's like, you know what? I actually don't want to do that. And he more or less said that he didn't think he could match his energy and the time commitment that Gruden was going to demand.
Oh, my God. You know what that stands
Rich
for,
Gannon
right?
went total beta and backed out.
That stands for, I'm kind of happy being lazy in the announcer's booth. I don't want to work 24/7 as a quarterback's coach.
Yeah, that's what it is. So Gannon is not going to be the quarterback's coach. Keep an eye on Pep Hamilton. He could be an option there if the Raiders want to go out and get somebody else. Greg Olson's going to be the OC. But Gannon, 4 Downey Heads, because you know that's right, Harris. He is not going to be the quarterback's coach.
Rich Gannon, 4 Downey Heads, not going to be the Raiders head coach. Tom, I think our next rumor might be the most interesting rumor that we have on the show today. John Harbaugh is in danger of losing his job next year. I want to break this one down because, I think this is the most fascinating of our rumors. Nick Saban go to the Giants is not. John Harbaugh maybe getting fired by the Ravens would be a huge change for that franchise because they've kind of staked a lot on him. He's been their coach now for a decade. They won a Super Bowl under him. They've been a competitive franchise for a long time with him. And we have Jason Lockenfora on the top right.
Yep.
How is this real? Is this fake?
So I'm giving this 2 Downey Heads means the people are talking because this is not the first time I've heard this before.
Okay.
I have heard the Ravens could try to move on for Harbaugh for really the past year and a half now.
I heard it going into this year if they didn't do well.
And they missed the playoffs again. And here's what Baltimore's at right now. They have made the playoffs the past couple of years. And Jason was kind of more speculating than I think he was reporting, but his report was like it kind of seems like a lame duck situation. They went internal. They kept everyone. They didn't really go out and get a big-name splashy hire like a Chuck Pagano to come be their DC, even though they have the ties there. And that's where you kind of get the lame duck scenario there. I actually do think that this could make a little bit of sense if they miss the playoffs again next year. Maybe you see Baltimore make a change. With that said, I would not like it. I think letting go of John Harbaugh would be a big mistake for Baltimore.
Agreed.
Because I think if maybe you look at Ozzie Newsome instead, as much as I love Ozzie Newsome as a GM, they have not done a good job of building the offense. Defense has been great because they've spent all of their picks there.
I think the other thing with John Harbaugh that you really need to look into, A, if you do fire him, who's going to be a better fit on that team than him? B, are you actually going to find a better head coach than John Harbaugh to coach the Baltimore Ravens? Like, at that point, you just have to kind of do, a pros and cons. I feel like what you lose in firing him, you will not be able to gain by hiring anyone else unless it's literally a Bill Belichick or just like a crazy. He's probably one of the 10 best head coaches in football.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that the reason you don't want to do it is because if you were to ask other teams who maybe need a head coach, you can go to the Browns or the Bengals or the Cowboys and say, hey, would you want to hire John Harbaugh as head coach? The answer would be, oh, yeah, give me him. Give me him. That's why you don't fire him.
There's probably only like 6, maybe 7 NFL teams that wouldn't hire him as a head coach almost instantly.
Unless they were like, oh, we want to keep our stability. Tampa Bay.
He would totally John Gruden to someone Jack Del Rio if a team really wanted to, taking someone's job, by the way.
So just monitor this one kind of as we go forward next year. He's safe for this year, but I've heard quite a bit of buzz around that. I don't think it'd be a good decision.